Good evening, friends. I'm Darren Bailey, and I'm running for governor to bring hope to the entire state of Illinois. Bringing safety to our streets, restoring education, and supporting families all across Illinois so they can thrive again. And here's what's the good news for you. I've been doing this for the last 4 years. I'm blessed and honored to be married to the woman of my dreams for 35 years. And when Cindy and I began to realize that the future of Illinois was in jeopardy for our 4 children and our 11 grandchildren, we decided to do something. And we've been doing something ever since. Friends, when COVID hit, I'm the only person that stood up and did something. I sued Governor Pritzker and we won. I want to thank you so much to the Tazewell County Republicans and Jim Rule for putting this on tonight. Because as Republicans, we've got a lot in common. We don't vote for tax increases, and we certainly don't double our fuel tax. When the establishment kind of gets out of line, we hold them accountable and we push back. We vote for and we support President Trump. And friends, we don't lie. So I sit here and I look at this empty seat tonight, and I think of a mayor of the highest tax city and a sanctuary city in the state of Illinois, and I think of someone who sits and prefers to stay in his basement rather than have to come and face me. So I encourage you, as I've always done, get educated, do your homework, understand what's going on. Because, friends, we have a great state here in Illinois. We have an amazing state, and we must emerge. I am so blessed to have an amazing lieutenant governor candidate from the city of Chicago who grew up on the west side and who knows the struggles and the problems with Chicago and who's not afraid to jump in and say what needs to be said and do what needs to be done so that we can merge, make Chicago great again, and make Illinois great again. I want to remind you that when the mask mandates hit, I was the only person that stood up and escorted out of the General Assembly. I've been standing up and pushing back and trying to educate for schools. When we allow government to get out of control, we lose our freedoms. We have a God-given gift here with the greatest nation on the face of this earth, and I look forward to serving you as governor. God bless.
I love Illinois. I love our home so much. I'm a 5th-generation Illinoisan, not from too far away, about an hour south of here in Petersburg, Illinois. I grew up one of 8 kids, working on a farm, and I love my home. But I hate our politics. I hate our politics. These politicians have taken everything that I love about our great state and they've driven it into the ground. And I feel like you can do one of 2 things here in Illinois. You can either get up and leave, like so many of our neighbors are doing, 120,000 in the last year alone, or you can stand up and fight back. And that's what I've decided to do, is stand up and fight back for the people of Illinois. I learned here in Central Illinois 3 core values: faith, family, and service. My Christian faith drives my entire life. It's really, I feel like if we have to do one thing to save our great state of Illinois, it's this: we need to deepen our relationship with God. As individuals, as a community, as a state. Family. I've got my lovely wife out here, mother of our 5 young kids and 2 foster children, and parents and brothers and sisters. And I love Central Illinois and raising my kids the way I was raised, running around in the cornfields down here. But, you know, the last piece for me is our faith calls us to serve. And that sent me to go over to Afghanistan as a civilian intelligence analyst to actually work on setting up local police forces over in Afghanistan. And what I learned there was about protect and serve. And right back here at home, we have these corrupt war zones where we have a lack of political leadership that has stood up on behalf of our police to actually make the streets safe. I want to make this state safe again for families, for all of you, to actually feel like we live in a safe environment. I am a fiscal, social, constitutional conservative. That means I believe all of our rights flow from God, not from man. And when man steps in to encroach on those rights, then we push back. We fight back. We are pro-First Amendment against this woke cancel culture. We are pro-Second Amendment. Actually, void the void, get rid of these unnecessary hoops that they're making legal gun owners jump through. We are pro-life. We get to stand with the unborn. And we are pro-small business. Enough with these ridiculously high taxes. We need to create the jobs of the future right here in Illinois. So I'm a political outsider. I have had enough of these corrupt insiders driving our state into the ground. And if you feel fed up like I do, please listen. Take a listen to us. See what you think of an outsider who just wants to represent Illinois families again, to stand up for these conservative values. Because we all need to fight back to save our home. And I really want to join together with my fellow patriots, all of you, to save this great state that we love so much. Thank you.
Mr. Rabine.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody, for being here. It's a great night tonight. I'm going to tell you what, I'm Gary Rabine. For 36 years, I've been building a family here in Illinois. Got 4 great kids. My late wife, Cheryl, and I worked hard to raise our kids here in the state, and I'm not leaving. My wife's buried here, and I'm going to be buried next to her someday. It's take 40 years of building businesses, small businesses and blue-collar industries, has given me an understanding of what regulations are doing to the pile of regulations doing to our businesses in Illinois. And I want to be a freedom-fighting governor who can reform and rebuild this state. I know what it takes to fight for freedom. I recently picked a fight with Biden and his unconstitutional vaccine mandate. And we fought that mandate all the way to the Supreme Court, and on January 14th, we won. This win was a critical knockout. Because of it, COVID vaccine mandates across America came tumbling down. This gave vaccine freedom to over 80 million working Americans in Illinois, in our country. We've forgotten how to compete in Illinois. We're the biggest losers when it comes to violence. We're the biggest losers when it comes to the highest taxes. And we're the biggest losers when it comes to the highest unfunded pension liabilities. The result is the loss of freedom, and more Illinoisans than any other state in the country are losing so many people and jobs. I hate to lose. As your next governor, I got to tell you, I'll fight to make sure we're number 1 at public safety, number 1 at tax fighting, number 1 at job creation, and number 1 at bringing people back to Illinois. I'm running for governor, though, because it takes more than a career politician. It's going to take somebody that likes to fight. It's going to take an outsider, and it's going to take a common sense leader who can't be bought. Throughout my life, I've often visualized accomplishing things other people thought were impossible. I call these things moonshots. As your governor, I'll succeed in pursuing a moonshot, and we'll turn this state around. As your governor, I'm going to fight to lower property taxes, to being competitive again. And with that, the result will send our property values soaring. As your governor, I'm going to take the cuffs off our police and put them back on the criminals where they belong. As your governor, I'll end Illinois' sanctuary state status. I'll stand up to Joe Biden's lawless open borders policies, just like I stood up to his unconstitutional vaccine mandate. On day 1, as your governor, we're going to end the vaccine and mask mandate. We're going to stop the indoctrination of our children in the far left agenda, and we're going to defend women and stop men from competing in women's sports. So visualize this moonshot. 2025, the state with the most job creation in the country, and the state with more people moving back to it than any other state in the country. I'm Gary Rabine, and I want to be your next governor.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Max Solomon, and I identify as a Christian, conservative, Republican. And it's in that order. And as governor of the state of Illinois, you will have a Christian, conservative, Republican. Christian, because I believe that it's time to bring God back into politics. I'm a conservative because I will fight for those values and culture and beliefs that is under attack, that is under erosion. I will fight very hard for that. I'm a conservative through and through, social, cultural, fiscal. I believe that God created life, and life starts when God says so. I believe that your gender is assigned by God and you are born with it. I don't think boys should go into girls' bathroom, and I don't think girls should go into boys' bathroom. And I'm a Republican because it is the Republican Party's platform that supports the first two things that I am. Ladies and gentlemen, I moved into the United States about 30 years ago with $40. $40 with a hope, with a dream, because the United States is the best country in the world. And ever since then, I've gone on to get a master's degree in theology because I believe that God and law and everything that we do in life starts with God first. I'm also an attorney licensed in the state of Illinois and Indiana. And I do teach the Constitution to colleges every once in a while. And I'll share with you the best day of my life. I raised my right hand and I swore an oath. I took an oath to be a United States citizen. It was the best day of my life because I believe in this country. I'm the candidate that understands that Illinois does not have an income problem. It has a spending problem. I'm the candidate that believes that the spending problem is anchored in our pension crisis. I believe that if we fix pension, then we wouldn't have to deal with the Democrats raising taxes all the time. And that's why I came up with constitutional pension reform. I call it CPR for Illinois. God bless you. Join me tonight as we engage in this conversation. Thank you.
Well, thank you, folks. My name is Paul Schimpf, and I'm running for Illinois governor because our state needs common sense, conservative leadership that we can trust. Now, I had to move that that stool away from me a little bit if there's going to be some gesturing over there. Folks, I am not a career politician. I grew up in Monroe County, son of two public school teachers, went to the United States Naval Academy, and then I spent my adult life in the United States Marine Corps. I was an infantry officer. Thank you. We're Semper Fi to all the Marines that are out there. Infantry officer, then went to law school, became a prosecutor, worked the Saddam Hussein trial when I was in Iraq, and you know, once you've dealt with the ace of spades in Baghdad, you just really aren't intimidated by the Pritzkers, the Madigans, the Simons, any of that stuff. Nothing in Illinois politics. I want to start tonight with a few thank yous. First, I want to thank my wife, Lori. She's the rock of our family. She is not able to be here tonight because this is a school night and our two boys are 14 and 16. So she's holding things down on the home front back in Waterloo, but I want to thank her. I also want to thank the Tazewell County Republicans for putting this great event on. Yes. I want to thank my fellow candidates as well. You know, it is a good thing, folks, that we have so many good men running for Illinois governor because that means a lot of people hear the message that J.B. Pritzker is a catastrophic failure and needs to be sent back to his true calling as a bathroom renovator. And lastly, I want to thank you all for coming out and taking the time to listen to us tonight. You know, as I talk tonight, you know, one of the analogies that I like to use is that this is like a high school basketball tryout. We are all on the same team. We're just trying to figure out who's got the best skill set to be the starting point guard. So as I talk tonight, I'm going to give you two reasons to consider supporting me. Two attributes that I have, two positive reasons. One, I have a legislative record that nobody else has. I have voted against every tax increase, voted pro-life, voted for a strong Second Amendment, voted for parental control of education. And the second thing is, I am the only one on this stage who has won a major election against a Democrat while being outspent. I beat Sheila Simon, the former lieutenant governor, by nearly 22 points, and that is what it's all about. J.B. Pritzker is a threat to the health of our state. He is a threat to our children's future, and we have to beat J.B. Pritzker. So thank you for coming out tonight.
Thank you, gentlemen. We'll start off talking about law enforcement. So this will Mr. Sullivan, you'll go first here once I lay this out. The 2021 Safety Act changed all aspects of criminal justice. On top of unfunded mandates, on January 1st, 2023, the Act implements no bail. Drug use is escalating. Legalized marijuana has opened the floodgates for meth and heroin, often laced with fentanyl, coming in from Mexico. And nearly 36 county sheriffs in Illinois have resigned or retired since this bill became law. How will you, as governor, work to ensure that the laws passed address the needs of the accused, protect the public, and support law enforcement officers in our great state? 90 seconds. Please try to hold to that, gentlemen.
Great. When I'm governor, we are going to repeal this anti-police bill. Right away, repeal the anti-police bill. And that's what the law enforcement officers around the entire state call this bill. It's not the Safety Act, it's the anti-police bill. And there's a reason why we actually, in our campaign, have the largest active coalition of existing sheriffs around the state of Illinois have gotten behind me in this campaign. And there's a reason for that, because I have protect and serve in my core. I was actually over in Afghanistan as a civilian intelligence analyst. We are putting together local police forces. And in doing that work, we lost 36 people that we would always put their photo up on the church tent that we had, and we would read from the Bible. There is no greater love than this, to lay down one's life for a friend. We now have these corrupt war zones back here in our state where our law enforcement officers are putting forward their lives, sacrificing themselves and their families so that they can serve us well. And so we need to have their back. And when I'm governor, we are going to be the most pro-law enforcement state in the nation. We are going to make the streets safe here in the state of Illinois. And I would just like, if you are a law enforcement officer or a veteran, if you could raise your hand for us. If we could give them a round of applause for their service. And here in the crowd, Tazewell County Sheriff, we've got John Sandage here, McLean County Sheriff, both that have worked to serve with us, endorse our campaign, make our streets safe. Thank you so much for the service that you do for our state. And we're going to protect Illinois families again. Thank you.
Thanks again to the police in the house. Appreciate you guys. We saw a lot of you guys coming in. I'm going to tell you, I won't sleep at night until we have exceptional public safety in the state of Illinois, and that doesn't happen until we repeal 3653 and we eliminate the sanctuary state law that we have in Illinois. We look at the city of Chicago, 5 times more murders in the city of Chicago than the city of New York. And New York is no safe haven. 5 times more murders. It's sickening. It's evil. And we got to be able to also recall a Kim Foxx or any crazy communist state's attorney. And it's not just the city of Chicago. The sanctuary state bill, what Browner did was crazy and evil. And then what Pritzker did to even put more distance between local police and federal police. ICE and federal police have no communication today with any of our police. I talked to a deputy, a sheriff's deputy, about 3 weeks ago. I was in Southern Illinois. A buddy of his, another sheriff's deputy, pulled over a van. 9 young men in the van, under 13 years old, he estimated, Hispanic. 3 adults in the van. An hour later, after they called somebody over that could speak Spanish, another police officer, these kids would say nothing. An hour later, they had to let these people leave, these 3 adults with 9 kids in the van. They couldn't reach ICE. Usually be ICE or federal police. They'd get in front of them and they'd understand what's going on. They'd understand more about what might be going on. Didn't happen. This has got to stop. I won't sleep until we have exceptional public safety in the state of Illinois.
Thank you, Dean, for that question. Ladies and gentlemen, it's not rocket science. When you criminalize law enforcement, and then you embolden criminality, you're going to get what we've been getting. Everybody remember 2020, BLM? They were all around. I live in Chicago. I live in the suburbs of Chicago. You were watching TV and you're thinking, what's going on with the United States? I was thinking, what's going on with the United States that I moved into? We know the problem. Here's the solution. 3 things, ladies and gentlemen. The first thing that I'm going to do as governor, increase the budget and funding for public safety. Right now, we're at about 4%, 5% of the budget. That's not going to cut it for law enforcement. Number 2, we're going to make sure that we make criminals liable again. We have laws. Just enforce them. Number 3, and this is political, and this is one of my frustrations, especially with the Republican Party. We've given up. We've given up. We've given up on Cook County. We've given up on a lot of these seats. There are 59 senators, 118 state reps. We need to compete every seat. We need to compete. I'm tired of going into ballot boxes or ballot booths to vote and there's no candidate for the Republican Party. We're going to change that. I'm going to be the governor that's going to support all 118 state reps and 59 senators. There's got to be a Republican Party candidate in every one of them. God bless you.
Folks, HB 3653 and the process by which it was passed was a travesty and a slap in the face to all of our law enforcement heroes. That bill was passed at 4 a.m. in the morning during a lame duck session. I stayed up all night so that I could be there and vote no. You know, if you don't show up to vote as a senator, it counts as, it's the practical effect of a no vote. But I stayed up and I went there because it was important to cast a no vote and say that that act was absolutely not right. Part of our New Start for Illinois program that my running mate Carolyn Schofield and I are running on is the idea that we need to increase legal protections for our law enforcement and for our first responders. The way we do that, we have hate crimes laws in Illinois. Well, you know what? If you go after a cop, that should be considered a hate crime. As your governor, I will do three things. One, I will stand with the police. I will be a presence with them on the streets so that they know they have a governor that unequivocally supports them. I will veto any legislation that defunds them or does not give them the training and equipment they need. And I will hold myself accountable. If I haven't lowered violence, I will not run for re-election. That's my promise to you.
Restoring Illinois has to start with safe streets. Whenever Sheriff's Deputy Sean Riley was killed in my district, I introduced SB 3899 to allow for a judge to inflict the death penalty on any cop killers. We have got to start making a stand. Friends, there is no hope as long as cities like Chicago are able to allow the violent crime that they are. Governor Pritzker has destroyed Chicago by ending cash bail, by allowing violent criminals to roam free. As your governor, we're going to stop that. We're going to bring integrity to our police officers by having their back, by defending them, by funding them. That's how we get Illinois back on track, friends. So I look forward to enacting that kind of legislation that will get our streets safe again.
Please speak to two things, gentlemen. First, talk to the people of Illinois about how to respond to excess authoritarian overreach when they encounter it. What should they do as citizens? Number two, what will you do as governor of our state when the next crisis presents itself? Thank you.
Thank you. So when COVID first happened, I was blessed to be able to be on the calls with Republican governors across the country. I've been in the RGA, Republican Governors Association, for almost 6 years now. So I was able to be on these phone calls talking to health scientists across the globe, as well as advisors on health, advisors on economics. And over those conversations, we heard governors, Republican governors, going all different directions. Some ready to shut down their states, some ready to keep them open. I actually got on LinkedIn back then after these calls, and what I learned, I said, we can't shut down our state. This is an opportunity for our state economically to get stronger than our surrounding states. We knew that back then. The health scientists said that this wasn't going to be harsh on kids. If you're healthy, under 60 years old, you're going to be in pretty good shape. If you're older, up in age, or you have health conditions, we got to be careful. So to educate and collaborate was the key. This governor, history will show that our governor did the absolute worst job of any governor in the country. He was a dictator. He wasn't a governor. He said he cared about lives, but he didn't care about livelihoods. And what we find is, in retrospect, looking back now, we know that Illinois was one of the worst states in the country, average on health, average on death, and we decimated our economy, put more businesses out of business than any other state in the country, per capita. So he was a total failure, and dictators tend to be that.
Dean, that was a very important question. Could you please repeat them?
Yes, I will. As citizens, how would you advise us to respond to authoritarian excess? And number two, what will you do, Max, when the next crisis arises?
Good. Ladies and gentlemen, to that first question, I appeal to you. Elect a Republican Attorney General. think we have two fine gentlemen running for that office. Any one of them would do better than who we currently have in there. We have to enforce the laws. We need an attorney general that understands that they work for you and I. We need an attorney general that's going to be independent and regardless of who is governor will be able to fight for us. That's what we need. The second question, what would I not do? What would I do? Here's what I would not do. I'll start with that. When the pandemic started, I'm an ordained minister, a Christian ordained minister, and you can imagine the horror that I felt when one of the first institutions or places that the governor shut down was the church. In the face of a crisis, I learned to go to God. My faith is the first thing that I go to, I cling to, I pray for wisdom, for guidance. And then you bring together experts who are going to advise you. I'm not going to shut down the state. I'm not going to make it worse. And I'm definitely not going to go after your kids. Thank you.
When President Harmon and Speaker Welch were derelict in their duty, they didn't silence my voice and Darren's voice, they silenced your voices. Administrative overreach, governing through executive order and administrative rule, is a huge threat to our liberty, not only in Illinois, but nationwide. Or administrative regulations that raise fees or penalties do not become effective unless there are 7 affirmative yes votes from JCAR. That will make it much harder for J.B. Pritzker to rule by executive order. As governor, got a short amount of time. As governor, I will do 3 things differently than J.B. Pritzker. 1, I will follow any rules myself that I put out for other people. I will partner with the Illinois General Assembly, and I will understand the science. I will take the time to understand the science and listen to the people of Illinois.
Thank God we live in a constitutional republic where every so often we have free elections and we can change these tyrannical leaders out of office. And that is exactly what is going to happen in November. So friends, listen, government educates, government informs, government comes up with solutions and makes that available. We, the people, decide how we're going to live our lives. We decide how we're going to run our business, when we need to close our business, if we need to close our schools. Government has no business in that. So again, I'm a farmer. That's all I've did all my life. Farmers fix things that are broken. Farmers solve problems. Farmers grow things. And whenever the mandates and the lockdowns hit, 2 weeks to flatten the curve, something didn't feel right. And the reason something didn't feel right, because this little thing called freedom exists here. And we knew that we can't go back to where we came from. So again, I did something about it. I sued Governor Pritzker. I took him to task. I took it to party leaders and I said, let's do something. And no one would do anything because of fear. But friends, when we do the right thing as Americans, we can serve our constitutional republic.
Thomas Jefferson said, "A government big enough to do everything for you is a government big enough to take everything from you." This is what we see with the Democratic Party and J.B. Pritzker during this crisis. Big government control. This is why I don't like politicians. You know, most of them are followers. They're like this. Let's see what everyone else is doing. Let's follow right behind. That's what J.B. Pritzker did with Joe Biden. He was just following right behind Fauci, Joe Biden. You know who didn't? Ron DeSantis. He's someone, I asked myself, what allowed Ron DeSantis to lead when no one else would? He was rooted in a set of values. He valued freedom. And he said, I am gonna lead by these values of freedom. And that's what he did. He was strong, he took charge, he was a bold leader. So for me, stepping in as a conservative outsider, I'm a constitutional conservative. I believe we need limited government, especially at times like that, whenever it's a crisis. If you want to know my governing philosophy, it's this: take power away from these corrupt, career insider politicians and give it back to the people of Illinois.
National pundits predict that parents of school-aged children will have a big impact on the results of the November election. A new governor is capable of giving homeschool moms in Tazewell County hope that things can get better in public education. Since the State Board of Education, ISBE, Culturally Responsive Teaching and Learning Act was enacted without action by the General Assembly, because those are appointed by the governor positions. New leadership could reverse CRTL. As governor, I'll start with you, Mr. Solomon. What will your plans be to tackle this issue, and how can you shake up the Illinois State Board of Education?
Thank you, Dean. Ladies and gentlemen, I have the best Lieutenant Governor pick. LaTasha Fields from Chicago. Our heart, our soul are with the kids, especially homeschool. She's a homeschool mom herself. It's going to be a beautiful January night, Wednesday morning, January night, 2023. If God wills, and I am your governor, I'm going to raise my right hand and swear that oath. And as soon as I swear that oath, that right hand is coming down to banning CRT. And not only CRT, ladies and gentlemen, evil used to hide away in subliminal messages. Not anymore, and they're coming after our kids. Not only CRT, sex education. The whole curriculum's got to go. And on day one, hour one, minute one, we are going to ban it in the state of Illinois. We're going to give you back the power to educate your own kids. We believe in school choice. We believe in freedom of education made by the parents, not by the government. And I'm definitely not interested in teaching your kids sex education. That's you. God bless you.
And at one of the very first candidate forums we had, I made the people of Illinois a promise. And if you know me, my word is my bond. I keep my promises. And that promise over a year ago was, my first act as your Illinois governor will be to pick up the phone, call the state superintendent of schools, and say, start the process of rescinding the culturally responsive teaching standards. That has to go, and a Republican governor can do that. Unfortunately, we've learned the hard way in Illinois that talk is cheap. 8 years ago, I was a statewide candidate. I heard a statewide candidate say he was pro-life and opposed to illegal immigration, and it turned out that he was not once he got into office. Folks, I have a track record on parents' rights. I voted for parents' rights and local control of education when I was in the Illinois Senate, and we have been running our campaign on parents' rights. And last June, we put out a proposed Illinois Parents' Bill of Rights. If you want to know where somebody stands on the issue, Look at what they were doing before they asked you for your vote.
Well, Paul, with all due respect, my first call is going to be to the state superintendent, Dr. Ayala, and I'm going to tell her, you're fired. The answer to removing this woke, liberal, ideological agenda from our schools is empowering the parents and putting the right people in charge of in Illinois State Board of Education and all director agencies for that matter. Friends, I've served on the North Clay School Board for 17 years. I know the role of the school board, and I'm going to tell you something, our school boards have failed us. So in a year from now, we need people running for those positions. Cindy and I started Full Armor Christian Academy right now. 360 plus students, preschool through high school in Christian education. We've got to save public education because not everyone has the opportunity to be homeschooled. So we do that by accountability. We do that by offering the voucher system, the choice system. The money should follow the student, and the student should go to where they're getting the best education. That will happen. CRT was written in the rules. It will be written out of the rules, and we will go to war against this egregious SB 818 sex education bill that was supported by Illinois Education Association and Planned Parenthood.
I believe we're engaged in a great battle right now. It's a political battle. It's also a spiritual battle. On one side of that battle, you have evil, you have immorality, you have relativism. On the other side, you have truth, you have goodness, you have a set of values that you're trying to live by. And where are the front lines of that battle playing out? In our schools, in our education system. And I hate to say it, but right now we are losing. We are losing that battle. I mean, look at what's happening right now. To me, look at what's happening. You cannot say a prayer during school, but you can talk about sexuality and gender identity to our young children. This is wrong. This is wrong, and this should not be happening. I have skin in the game. I've got 5 young kids, and you can mess with a lot of things with people like, oh, changing our tax rates, doing all this. You do not come in as a government between me and my kids and teach them this wrong set of values. And I'm going to stand up and fight back against this. And so day one, that means we are cleaning house on the Illinois State Board of Education. And how I'm a free market capitalist. I think the way that you get good results and outcomes is competition. Right now, we do not have that in our education system. So how do you get that back in? We need school choice. We need to give parents the ability to send their kids where they want to send their kids to solve this problem and win the battle.
So, of course, the Illinois School Board, the superintendent of schools must be fired. I actually didn't just join this fight against indoctrination. 9 years ago, Charlie Kirk, I met at an event I had. He was 18 years old. Charlie Kirk came to me and said, I need some help. I want to fight indoctrination college campuses across America. My wife listened to Charlie's story for a couple hours that night. We got behind him 100% with our dollars and with our time and with our friends. We raised over $1.5 million within the first 6 months of knowing Charlie. And Turning Point has grown to be one of the strongest organizations in college campuses and high school campuses across America. We thought it was bad in colleges, and then we realized, boy, we got to get into high schools. We're in high schools now. But now, grade schools are the battle, as we all know. And I will not stop until this graphic sex education is out of every library and every school in Illinois. We talk to any sheriffs. I've talked to sheriffs. I've got many sheriffs behind me in this race. And you talk to my friends who are sheriffs in our state. Any of them will tell you, this book, this educational, sexual graphic educational book in our libraries across our state would be looked upon as child porn 3 years ago. So we're going to rip that out in day one. We're going to fire that superintendent. We're going to fire this board. And we're going to have parents. We're going to have people that represent parents, not politicians, in our school board and across our leadership in our state. Thank you.
So question number 4, Senator Schimpf. Let's delve into individual rights guaranteed to us in the Constitution, specifically the Second Amendment. Anti-gun measures like the FOID card do nothing but increase crime. Anti-gun laws like the Illinois Firearm Dealer License Certificate exacerbate illegal gun trade by shutting down legal firearms dealers. And the new ghost gun law will make more than 1 million people felons overnight. These are just a few examples of the many laws that create programs costing Illinois taxpayers tens of millions of dollars. And until these laws are reversed, the Second Amendment doesn't exist in Illinois. When elected governor, what action will you take, and what can you do to hinder or reverse any of these laws?
Thank you. And I think I saw Senator Neil Anderson out in the crowd. If I'm seeing things, I'm sorry, but Neil Anderson had a bill to eliminate the FOID card, and I was proud to co-sponsor that while I was a state senator. As a state senator, nobody had a stronger record in support of the Second Amendment than me. So you don't have to take my word up here on the stage tonight. You can actually go back and look how I voted, and you will know that there is nobody more committed to protecting the Second Amendment. The other thing that I can do as governor, though, is I have the experience having been on JCAR, the Joint Committee for Administrative Rules. I know how the Illinois Administrative Procedures Act works. We can rewrite the gun dealer licensing regulations to bring them back in line with what the law that was actually passed, and I will veto any legislation that further infringes on our Second Amendment rights.
There is absolutely no purpose or constitutional reason for the FOID card except to hinder our God-given rights. Friends, that card will disappear on day one. We will begin the process of making that happen. And here's the beauty of it. I've had conversations with Democrats on the other side of the aisle, and they agree. They agree that the mother in Chicago needs to have the right and better access to be able to carry to protect her family. You want to stop crime in Chicago in the urban areas? That's how we do it. We promote the Second Amendment. Our First Amendment, well, it's protected by the Second Amendment. I'm a lifelong NRA member, Illinois State Rifle Association and Gun Saves Lives members, and many of you may have seen me recently blow the budget up with my AR-15, so I will be standing firm for those rights.
Democrats always seem to have two solutions: throw money at it or blame guns. Those are the two solutions. I am a fiscal, social, constitutional conservative. The Second Amendment is there as our right. And I grew up hunting with my grandpa. I now have an M9 Beretta that I carry, same weapon I carried over in Afghanistan, same model, to protect my family. And this is a right that we hold. And we have seen that this right, whenever they try to infringe upon it, look, how much safer are we in Chicago to have the strictest gun laws in the nation? There is no connection between those two things. So absolutely void the FOID. I'm so appreciative. I want to call out Neil Anderson too here. He's been leading those efforts and endorsed me in this campaign because of my strong views around protecting our Second Amendment rights, and that's what you'll get when I'm governor.
10 years ago, a 73-year-old man saved the life of a 30-year-old woman that had been stabbed 7 times in the midsection of her body. He was illegally carrying 10 years ago, the 73-year-old man. But there's no way he would have the courage to stay there with this woman while she was being chased by her perpetrator that just stabbed her. That 73-year-old man is my father. He doesn't always do things that, perfectly. He believed in constitutional carry back then, and he carried even though he wasn't supposed to. But that woman would not be alive today at 40 years old. So, as soon as I could carry, of course, I went and did all the tests to be a carry person. But constitutional carry is what we got to go for. I mean, our carry laws are weak. Constitutional carry's got to be our goal. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm the only one here that swore an oath to support the Constitution of the United States. Again, the best country in the world. The last I checked, the Second Amendment was part of that. As governor, Illinois is going to be a constitutional carry state. We're going to get rid of the FOI card. Not only that, there's this tax on guns and ammos. Extra layer of tax. We're going to get rid of that. Every law-abiding citizen, and I'm biased in this one, I think every woman in the state of Illinois should carry. I truly believe that. But everyone who's law-abiding should be able to carry if they want to. No barriers.
Pension reform. We need to discuss this because our state has the third highest debt in the nation. And the biggest problem contributing toward this is the billions of dollars going toward pension benefits. Currently, 19% of the state's budget goes towards paying for pensions compared to an average of 4% in other states. Illinois' massive, growing government worker pension debt is the direct result of three factors: overgenerous pension benefits, political manipulation, and inherent flaws in pension plans. As governor, how will you address this elephant in the room? And what results can we expect to see?
I know we've got active and retired state troopers in the crowd tonight. I know we've got active and retired teachers, active and retired Department of Corrections people. I know we've got a lot of state employees in the room tonight. And I know that not one of you can sit and tell me that you're confident in the future of your retirement, that you were promised and that you were earned. Friends, I'm the only one up here that's been trying to address the problem for 3.5 years now, serving in the state legislature. I see that problem, and it is going to culminate and sink our ship if we don't address it. We've got to sit at the table, not with the union bosses, not with the political leaders, but with you, the pensioner, and come up with a solution. I have those, and unfortunately, my opponents and Governor Pritzker are lying again and saying, I'm trying to take away your pension. You were promised, you were paid into it. I am going to do everything possible to make sure that you keep what you earned.
So my dad's out here in the crowd. He's a retired public school teacher, and we're next door neighbors. And so I was sitting with him on the back porch and looking out over our corn and soybean fields, and I said, hey, Dad, I'm going to run for governor. And after he tried to talk me out of it, the next thing he said was, hey, if you take away my pension, I'm not going to vote for you. And I said, you shouldn't. You taught me better than that. Your word is your bond. We made a promise. Whenever we made this deal, we have to be good on that promise. But you know what? If we want to actually be fiscally sound to make good on it, we need to reform the system. For anyone who is not yet in the system, we need to change it around. You know, we need to switch over to a 401k style system. And we need to look moving forward for any future benefits earned that we also make a switch. But this is 27% of our budget. We're spending more on this than our children's education. We have to make a reform, but we need a leader who can actually get this job done, who actually has the experience, the skill set to work to solve this one of our greatest challenges, and I will be that leader.
I'm the only candidate in this race that's negotiated thousands of contracts, many with unions. And I got to tell you, it's going to take a negotiator, a strong negotiator, to get this done. We need to protect, just like any contract, protect the past, all the past promises we made, but we need to change the future to protect the past promises because it's not sustainable. And we said 19% of the budget compared to 4%, and that's what I've read as well. But that 19% doesn't even cover all the interest. We're still kicking interest down the road. We got $500 billion overall of total pension deficit in Illinois. At 5% interest, which is the average, that's $25 billion a year. A good negotiator would put us on a track of a sustainable future in our pension. A sustainable future would put us on average with the rest of the states at 2.5% interest instead of 5%. That's a $12.5 billion savings. It takes a great negotiator, somebody that understands contracts inside and out to get that done, and I'm the guy. So, thanks.
Ladies and gentlemen, say this with me if you may. CPR for Illinois. If there's nothing else you take with you tonight, please take home CPR for Illinois. And if somebody asks you what it means, constitutional pension reform. That's where the problem is. And I'll tell you more. Article 13, Section 5 of our Illinois Constitution needs to be reformed. That's why I'm running. Actually, that's why I got in the race. Over the years, Democrats increase your taxes, and Republicans come and promise to cut your taxes. None of them tells you exactly the problem why taxes are being raised and why it would be unreasonable to cut taxes, because we've got this big debt to pay. That's why I'm running, ladies and gentlemen. Remember this name, Max Solomon, CPR for Illinois.
You know, folks, one of the worst things that J.B. Pritzker and the progressives like to do is they try to divide us. Remember, they talk about how the pandemic was the fault of the unvaccinated. They try to make vaccinated versus unvaccinated. They try to divide us. We can't do that same thing when addressing the pension crisis. Yes, our pension system is unsustainable. But you know why? It's because the Illinois General Assembly stole from the pension funds. It is not the fault of the state workers who paid in what they were supposed to pay in. Look, a pension is a promise. We have to be looking at solutions. I wrote legislation to offer buyouts. As a state senator, I'd be willing to look at re-amortization. But a pension is a promise, and the state of Illinois needs to keep its promise. There are no easy solutions. It is going to take leadership and hard choices to address this.
The question is, what is your plan to work with and get cooperation of our state legislatures due to the direction of Illinois and to make our state a great place to live again? And we got trouble. Republicans and Democrats, they just don't see eye to eye and aren't able to cooperate. So it's going to take one of you men a big challenge. The last Republican didn't do very well. And we need one of you guys to do that. So please address that. And I think we're on you, Mr. Sullivan.
Yeah. So there are some things you can do when you step in as governor on day one. That's in the mandates, in the vaccine mandates, in the mask mandates. That's day one stuff. Change out the prisoner review board, change out the Illinois State Board of Education. The next thing you can do after that is run agencies well. You don't need new legislation to be able to run these agencies. It's almost criminal. You look at the foster care system right now. My wife and I are foster parents. 20,000 of our most vulnerable kids. This is the background and work I have, is helping run businesses, create new businesses. You gotta run towards accountability. The next one is legislation. It's not to have a 44-point plan like Ronner, it's to focus around the few key issues that matter most to us and to work so hard to get those things accomplished. And so that's what I'm gonna do but we need a bold leader, not someone who's gonna sell us out on our most important values the way that was done before. I will never betray us on the most important values. like pro-life and others, but we have to work hard on the other side to fix our fiscal challenges in this state.
So I'm the candidate, I'll say over and over again, I have common sense, and I can't be bought. When we look at leading businesses, and we have those two traits, we can have a winning CEO all day long if they're passionate about serving our customers. And when we build businesses and we inspire people, we give them a vision they didn't have before. We've done this in 4 of our businesses out of 13 that are world-class companies. All these businesses started from nothing. 4 are world-class out of 13, 9 are striving to be world-class. Every leader, every CEO is somebody that inspires people around them to be better than they'd be otherwise. I'm confident I can be the person to do that. I was the founder in Job Creators Network, Turning Point USA. We inspired people to do things they never thought they could do before. I believe I'm the person that can inspire Democrats and Republicans alike to look at their faces on a board, every legislator, and say, who do we want to be 5 years, 4 years from now, right? We could be losers, or we could be winners. If we just all look at ourselves and say, how do we do the right thing when it comes to pension reform? How do we do the right thing when it comes to cultural reform? I believe that most of these people want to do the right thing. It takes somebody to inspire them to do that, and I'm confident I can do it.
Dean, could you please ask that question again?
I will. How are we going to cooperate? How are you going to cooperate with the legislature, Max, to get things done? Because we're in such a tough environment here, and it follows well with the pension question, which would be a real challenge to do that. So,
ladies and gentlemen, I'm not going to stand here and lie to you or pretend to you that I'm going to go in the governor's mansion or executive office and rally with the Democrats. You give the Democrats an inch, they take a mile. No. My approach is different. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make sure that every ballot that a Democrat appears on the ballot is contested by a Republican. That's what I'm going to do. 118 state reps, 59 senators, not one of them would be uncontested. That's how we cooperate. That's how we negotiate. That's how we bust the supermajority Democrats in Springfield. I'm going to be that governor to lead that charge. I'm not playing nice.
During my 24 years on active duty in the United States military, I learned that hope is not a plan. During my 4 years as a state senator, I realized that anger is not a solution to anything. Outrage is never going to unify our state. What we have to do if we want to make changes is we have to talk about what can bring us together. Our campaign is running on parents' rights, support for law enforcement so that we can have safe communities and families, and restoring trust in government. Those are not Republican values. Those are American values. And when we push legislation on those issues, we can unite our state together. And that's how we will make progress and turn this state around.
Well, I didn't seek this journey. This journey and you sought me, because for the last 2 years, I was standing up and talking about hope. The hope that Illinois can be better. The hope that our schools can actually teach our children properly. The hope that our streets can be safe again. And all the while, Governor Pritzker had a message of fear. You see the difference? What did that do? That locked us down and shut us up, and he had no right to do that, and our Constitution didn't even allow for it. But I stood up and I told you to push back. Stay busy, get educated, get involved in local government. This recent remapping process, when the Republicans said we need fair maps, you know what the Democrats said? They said 10 years ago when you were in charge, you didn't really care about it then. So friends, we have got to bring people around the table, be honest, and find solutions together. With Pritzker and Madigan out of the way, we can do that.
How would you bring more business and jobs to Illinois? 30 seconds.
We need to lower the regulatory environment so businesses want to be here. We need to lower the tax environment so businesses aren't overtaxed. It's simple. If we abuse our spouse goes away. If we abuse our taxpayers and our businesses, they go away, and that's what's happening every day in Illinois. I understand regulation like nobody else on the stage. I guarantee that. We need to reduce regulation. I want to peel off 5 regulations for every new one.
Fix pension, cut taxes, deregulate, free market. That's how you compete. That's how businesses are going to come back to the state of Illinois.
Can I have some of Max's time? Folks, Illinois is ranked 47th out of 50 states in terms of being the least business friendly. We are not business friendly because we have a predatory government and we have administrative agencies that are choking the life out of our small business. If we want to end predatory government, let's end predatory practices. No tax on tax, make it difficult to promulgate the administrative rules, and also let's reform property taxes. If we have fundamental change to property taxes, people will want to stay.
I pay workers' compensation insurance. It is 2.5 on my employees. It's 2.5 times higher in the state of Illinois than anywhere else. We have similar regulations that must go because that's how we build an economy. We attract business. When we attract business, we bring in people. People go to work, they earn money, and guess what? They pay taxes and support local business. So too many business regulations, and the governor can address that, and we can begin to push those aside and make Illinois the place where business and families want to come again.
I'm a free market capitalist, and the work I've been doing is taking on socialism down in Cuba and other socialist countries. We in Illinois are in a great competition with other states, and we are losing big time. Everyone's fleeing. We need to look more like Texas and Florida, not New York and California. I am the only candidate that has signed the Taxpayer Protection Pledge, saying I will veto any new tax that comes across my desk when I'm governor.
Talk about any 1 or 2 items you want, or however many you want. We're back to 60 seconds for this round.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're at a time where we need to elect a candidate who can appeal. And this touches my heart. I'm an African American standing before you claiming to be Christian, conservative, Republican. That's very unusual. And I hear it. I live in Cook County. I've heard them all. Republicans hate black people. Republicans hate poor people. Republicans don't like, you know it. That's why we need to elect a candidate that understands that can appeal to that community. And their fear is that we cut everything. Elect me, and I'm going to show them that we don't cut everything. We're going to fix pension. And we're going to fix Illinois' fiscal problems. And we're going to keep our values, our faith, our culture, the America that we all believe in. God bless you.
I'm going to be aggressive and try to get 2 things in here. All right, first, the power to tax is the power to destroy. I got out of the Marine Corps in 2013 as a lieutenant colonel, brought my family back to Illinois, got involved in politics, and really one of the first things I heard was about how property taxes were so terrible in Illinois. They were destroying our state. You know what's been done in that time? Not a darn thing. That's why one of our proposals in the New Start for Illinois is that we're going to make a fundamental change to property taxes, that you cannot have your property values reassessed unless you either sell your house or you rezone your property. All right? That's a fundamental change. We have to do that. Last thing, I just want to mention my running mate, Lieutenant Governor candidate Carolyn Schofield. I am so proud to have her on my team. She is the vice chair of the McHenry County Board. You've heard the statement, still waters run deep. That embodies Carolyn. She is all about solutions and is very, very smart and will make a great lieutenant governor for Illinois.
I want to talk about this empty seat. I don't believe that ever in the history of Illinois politics, a party has allowed anyone to grossly lie as this man does. Everything he says is a lie. His lieutenant governor doubled your taxes. He raised taxes in Aurora. She told me to put on my effing mask when I stood for you fighting for the mask mandate in Springfield. Friends, enough is enough. We have got to stand up and understand what is going on in this race, or else we lose everything that we stand for in the state of Illinois, and we're going to see the massive exodus like we have never seen before. This nonsense has got to stop. We watched cheating in Lake County. We watched cheating. All these men witnessed that in a recent straw poll up in Lake County. This team will stop at nothing to destroy our constitutional freedoms. Don't buy it, friends. God bless.
As I've jumped into this race and I've gone around the state, not a single time have I heard a single person say, what we need to fix Illinois is another professional politician. They've said, we need a conservative outsider. We need someone who's representing Illinois families right now. Nobody. I've got this young family. I've decided to jump into this race, and it really is this historic moment, an opportunity that we all have to be able to get these conservative values back into our government again. You look at what happened out in Virginia. Glenn Youngkin, he won that race out in Virginia. Well, his team took a look around the United States, said, where can we do this again? They decided to come and join me and our team because we are going to make Illinois red, and we are going to use this historic opportunity to change our home that we love. And so I've jumped into this race, and what we really need is a next generation conservative that can not only turn out the base, but that we can win all these disaffected Democrats, that they can come into our party and we can welcome them in. I'm the one who can bridge that gap between the conservatives and welcoming new people into our party. Thanks.
So we have Jesse, the junior outsider, and we have me, the senior outsider. 40 years in business, and I understand business, but I gotta tell you, there's two things going on right now in our state that nobody's talking about. It's called tax theft in two different buckets. One bucket is real estate taxes that are causing tax theft in property values in commercial and residential property. And the value differentiation from what it should be today compared to the average state in the country, if we look at commercial and residential, about over $2 trillion of reduced value that we have compared to an average state. There's another bigger bucket, a huge bucket of theft, and it's taxes and regulation on small businesses in Illinois. Any private equities group, any private equities group that buys small companies, and I know many of them, okay, will tell you an Illinois business, small or large, is worth much less than if it's somewhere else in the country. If it's in Florida, Tennessee, Texas, it's worth half in Illinois. If it's Indiana, Iowa, it might be worth 60%, okay, in Illinois. This is tax theft of a magnitude unbelievable. We think it's $3.5 to $5 trillion total. That could be 2 times our GDP of Illinois, on annual GDP. We're going to stop it, right? We're going to stop the tax theft like nobody else can. The senior outsider is going to be able to do that, okay?
Only one can lead, though. So tell us why in your closing comments you should lead us. 2 minutes.
Folks, J.B. Pritzker was born on third base and thinks he hit a triple. He also triumphed over a dispirited and divided Republican Party in 2018 and thinks he has a mandate. Well, folks, if we keep up the energy, the intensity that is in this room, J.B. Pritzker is not going to know what hit him come November. I want to thank you all for coming tonight and listening to us. Thank you to our moderator. Thank you to my fellow candidates. We've got great messages talking about how Illinois can unlock its potential. Folks, you may not have heard me before tonight. You may not have known who I was before tonight. But believe it or not, you've been trusting me for over 30 years. You trusted me when I was a student at the United States Naval Academy to get a good education and make sure that your tax dollars were not being wasted. You trusted me when I was an infantry officer to make sure that the young Marines and sailors under my command were kept safe. You trusted me when I represented the United States during my work on the trial of Saddam Hussein. And you trusted me as an Illinois state senator to keep my promises, vote pro-life, vote against every tax increase, and vote for limited government. I'm asking you to trust me one more time. Trust me to defeat J.B. Pritzker and turn our state red so that we can have an Illinois where it's the people of the state who have the power to live their life to the maximum potential and in freedom. Thank you all, and God bless you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm just humble and grateful. I lost my mom when I was 14, my dad at 17. 6 siblings. Hopeless. Dictatorship. Moved to the United States with only $40 and a hope for a better future. You want to know what happened to that $40? I lost it at the airport. I am the living example. I am the example that CRT is garbage. I stand before you an epitome of the American dream. But it was very challenging. As an immigrant, as an African American, you know what the Democrats told me? You belong to us. We love you. The Republicans hate you. But as I grew older, with my values and my culture and my faith, I realized that the Democrats, they don't believe what I believe in. It's a conundrum. We have a Republican Party platform that stands on faith, freedom, and the United States Constitution. Send me to send a message to those communities. Send me to send a message of hope, of inclusion. Let them know that the Democrats have been lying to them forever. And finally, I am the only candidate who understands what needs to be fixed in Illinois. 30%, actually, of our budget goes towards pension. We need to fix that. CPR for Illinois. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you.
What time is it? Wait, what time is it? Yes, all right. I gotta tell you, Building businesses and turning around businesses is similar to operating any budget. Any state can be operated like a business. People don't think so. It can. As I built my businesses across the country, I've got to know many, many great people. Before running this race, I heard the best minds in economic change the country's seen in a long time. Art Laffer and Steve Moore, if anybody knows those names, are on my team. They're amazing economic advisors. When they looked at Illinois with me, they both said, oh my gosh, this is the biggest mess in the history of the country. And guess what? Art Laffer looked up to me and said, Gary, he goes, this is going to be so much fun. This will be the biggest economic change in the history of our country, and we're going to be part of this. I'm very confident of this. We must seek out the best minds and wisdom to make major change in anything we do. We've done this all my life in my businesses, and we're going to do this in the state of Illinois. But it's going to take somebody that can beat Pritzker. I built my business, as I keep saying, all over Illinois, all over the country. But the biggest markets for the first 20 years were the most densest areas of Illinois. So for 40 years, my name has grown, the Rabine Group and Rabine Paving, in the densest areas of Illinois, also the biggest voting blocks. I'm confident, if all things are equal here, I'm the candidate that can win Illinois and win the Chicagoland area. Vote for me. What time is it? It's Rabine time! Thank you, I appreciate it.
Where I come from here in central Illinois, being a man of your word still matters. You know, I've given my word to God, down on my knees to try to serve him throughout my life. I've given my word to my wife to cherish her and honor her all the days of our life. And we're able to raise this amazing family here in central Illinois that I love so much. And I gave my word to our country that I would protect, serve, and defend the Constitution. Tonight, I want to give my word to all of you. I give my word that if you trust me to lead, we will restore integrity and honesty and character back into our government here in Illinois. Trust me to lead, and we will also make this a great place to raise our families again. We will lower taxes. We will make this a great place to start a business. Trust me to lead, and together we can all save this home that we love so much. You know, maybe I've been listening to too much Ronald Reagan driving around the state, another great son of Illinois, but it gives me hope and confidence that we can bring about these changes. This is the time. I know a lot of people are cynical. You know, this is Illinois at the end of the day. Well, things are the way they are until they aren't anymore. And things are about ready to change. You know, we've lived this life where we see this corruption. I don't trust politicians. I don't. Maybe it's growing up here in Illinois. I don't have trust in our politicians. I don't want to be a politician. I want to lead. I want to be a leader, a next generation conservative that can actually step up and represent the values that you all hold, that we all hold as people. I want to join together with you as fellow patriots to take back this government that we love so we can say, I am proud to be from Illinois. Not despite our government, but because of our government. We could be proud to be from Illinois again. And I want all of you, the future does not belong to the cynic, the future belongs to the believer. And we all believe that we can fight to save our home. So thank you, and join me. Together, let's fight to save this home we love. Thank you.
So despite everyone's cares, concerns, problems, worries, burdens, what is it that we all have in common? Isn't that the pursuit of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness? And isn't that what is being threatened right now? Don't we desire to raise our families in this amazing state? And isn't that being threatened right now? I am honored last week to receive the endorsements of all 4 major life organizations in the state of Illinois. Illinois Family Action, Illinois Right to Life Action, Illinois Federation for Life Action, and the Lake County Right to Life group have all given me their endorsement because they know I will not waver on morality. You know why this gentleman over here that's not here has spent 80% of his $12.5 million attacking just me? Because I'm winning. And he knows it. Polls are showing him every day. And he's not gaining any ground. So that's why things continue to get dirtier. But last week was a pretty amazing week because the most pro-life Republican donor in the country found favor and donated $2.5 million to our account and has promised another $2.5 million by the middle of May of matching funds, which gives you a good reason to support our cause. I have been endorsed by ABATE, a freedom-loving motorcycle group that doesn't want any more rights and infringements. And finally, as I think this whole journey started, I've been endorsed with one of Illinois' greatest freedom fighters, Jeannie Ives. Thank you so much. I will not budge. I will not waver. We will win. We will bring unity to the Republican Party, and we will ensure that Democrats and Republicans once again work together and make Illinois the great state that it should be. God bless you, and thank you so much.
Thanks for watching, and if you haven't already, please consider subscribing to our channel. And while you're at it, please leave us a comment. Thank you for watching.